So I wanted to make a video here on their basic tools that you need for rebuilding an axle. What I've got here is you need to have a good magnetic base with a dial indicator for checking your backlash. You need a race driver set for driving in your new pinion races. You need to have a dial inch-pound torque wrench for checking pinion bearing preload. Now, a lot of guys online, what they're going to do is they're going to go buy, in my opinion, it's very cheap, is a beam-style torque wrench. Back in 2001, 2002, when I went to school for automotive, my instructor always said you don't want to use a beam style for anything important. And this is pretty dang important. You want to get this right. But there's been tons of guys that have rebuilt these axles, and as far as I know, they've had great success rate. And how long are they going to last? I don't know. I don't want to judge. But me rebuilding my own axle, I want it done correctly. So I chose to go with the best, which is a dial inch-pound torque wrench. It's going to be the most accurate. You need to have some calipers here for measuring your thickness of your shims. This one's old here. It'd probably be a lot easier to read out if it was a digital. You need click style torque wrenches for torquing down your carrier bearing caps. Now, the reason I have the dead blow in the picture here is when a lot of guys install these carriers with their shims, when you go to put this thing into the housing, they're actually taking this dead blow and they're pounding on each side of the bearing races, and they're driving this thing in because you want this thing to fit tight in there so it just doesn't fall out. I've seen one video, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. I've learned so much from him. I've talked to him on the phone. I've asked him questions in forums, and this is just the way he does it. He actually bent a shim one time, and that's no big deal. I guess you bend a shim, just grab another one. But I had the opportunity. I've got a friend of mine who is a awesome fabricator, welder, all self-taught machinist. And he built me this thing here. I asked him, I actually had a friend of his friends, a friend of a friend of a friend, I believe, let me borrow it. And I asked my friend if he would basically make an exact copy of it. It's almost exact. It's slightly different here. If you were to buy one of these case spreaders, you're looking at $800, $900 new. I believe I paid about $56. No, maybe I take that back. $56, but then the all-thread rod, I can't remember what I paid for from McMaster-Carr. I can't remember what I paid for that. So I don't know. Maybe it was closer to $100. Probably $100 in material versus for how much they are brand new. He did an excellent job. I mean, this thing looks exactly to what he copied off of. I shouldn't even say that word, but it is what it is. I say it's a copy, but it's really not, because like I said, it's slightly different. Now, you have to be careful with a case spreader. You can spread that case too much and damage it. So I had an issue 5-6 years ago. I could not get, because I was on the ground and it was an awkward position, the Dana 30 that I have in this GTJ, I could not remove that ring gear and carrier. So I borrowed this thing, and I fell in love with it because it was like, wow, I was able to spread the case and get this thing out of there really easily, and went back real easily. Now, you have to be careful when you put this thing in there. You actually get to use a dial indicator, and you've actually got to measure and be very careful. I can't remember what the book said, but you can't spread this thing too much. If you spread it too much, like I said, you'll damage the case. Now, far as pinion depth gauge, pinion depth. When you're putting this thing together, you're pulling this thing out several times to figure out what is that pinion depth. Whether you've got to go in more with the pinion or if you got to come back out. And you're taking it apart quite a bit. Since I bought this thing, I have no idea, where to start out for pinion shims, because the pinion never came with the axle. Everyone on these forums say, hey, take your old shims from the original pinion, slide them onto the new pinion gear, and have that as your starting point. Well, what happens if you're like me and you have no clue where to start? Sure, you can have guys tell you, oh, we'll start here, start there, but, it's hard to believe some of these people, because people are just throwing you a line of bull. You don't know if it's true or not. So instead of taking those chances, getting frustrated, because I kind of get frustrated, I mean, this is a pretty serious job here, I went out and sourced out some parts through eBay, and some of them I had to buy brand new. which this tool here is a pinion depth tool. This is the exact same tool here that the dealership uses. Now, a guy that I reached out to on Pirates 4x4 forum, just pure dumb luck, looking on Google, I came across Pirates 4x4. This guy traded someone for some work and actually got this tool from him. And he said this thing, if it doesn't put that pinion dead on, it is really, really close to being dead on as far as the depth goes. You know, to rebuild an axle, if you're not doing this every day for a living, it takes time setting up these gears. And my understanding is those dealerships, those mechanics don't make much. They need a tool that will get you just about precise, because it's all about making money. It's time is literally money for them. So that's why they came up with this tool, to make it fast for them. But you don't need the tool. You really don't. You can do it with the basic tools there and just keep pulling this thing in and out, in and out. Everything I found online as far as YouTube videos, guys that just did one axle, they were so happy to have the pinion depth tools. They said for them, they felt like it was worth it. Well, I don't have one axle. I have two axles because this thing's four-wheel drive, this Jeep. So, in my opinion, if you want to invest in the pinion depth tool, go with this company here. This is just for the Dana axles, from Dana 30 all the way to, I believe it'll do a Dana 80. So 30, 35, 44, 60, 70, and 80 it will do. There's another company out there called T&D Machine. They're out of, I think it's Salt Lake City, Utah, or around there. Their tooling there is pretty dang good. But the problem is I think right out the box, their tool will only do, say, a Dana 60, but I'm not 100% sure. I reached out to them. If I want to re-gear my 44 or my Dana 30, I actually have to figure out what size race it is and ask that company to make this part, make two of these. And at the time, I think they said they were about $95, which everything is going up in the world now. Can you imagine? You got to do a 30, or you got to do a 44. I mean, that starts adding up to be a ton of money. So I couldn't justify buying from T&D. I'm sorry, T&D. I think you make an awesome product, but I couldn't justify it. I don't feel that I'm going to be using any other axles other than a Dana axle. So this is what I chose to go with, is for building this for the Dana axles. But like I said, this is more specialty tools, and this is really your bare tools that is needed. But I want to show everyone the tools that I'm going to use to re-gear it. Doesn't mean you have to go out and buy these tools. I've accumulated these tools over the years. These torque wrenches are probably over 20 years old. That setup there I know is over 5 years old. That setup is just about double in cost. It's incredible how much stuff has gone up. And just lucky enough to have some really good friends that have the skills to make this tool, which was awesome. If you got any questions about anything, feel free to ask away in the comments below. And if you would please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to do my best to try and keep cranking videos out. I know it's far in between making these videos, but this stuff takes time and it takes a lot of money just to save up and, you know, buying your ring gear, buying your limited slip and that kind of stuff. You know, and you know, some guys I've even talked to, well, gosh, why don't you pay someone to do it? I mean, look, even though this stuff is quite expensive, I still would rather do it myself. I can't tell you how many forums I've read where guys paid someone well over $1,000 to do one axle. Come to find out, 10,000 miles later, their gears are burning up because the guy didn't do it right. If I'm gonna you know, have to do this, I'm not paying someone to burn them up. I'm going to do them myself. So, no, I hope it doesn't go to that. But I just like doing stuff myself, and this is more a personal goal of something that I really, you know, I'd like to do this myself. Just to say, yes, I did it. You know, I can do it, and I can save some money. So, again, if you would please like and subscribe to the video. I'm going to do my best to, you know, try and keep cranking out and putting out good information. I don't want to put out false information. I want to put out, you know, good, positive, true information. Thank you.